Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Christ our Savior is born, and today we are celebrating that amazing, wonderful gift that God has given to each and every one of us. As we are gathered together with our families today, I hope that all of you will enjoy this story that I would like to share with you today. It's one of my favorite stories. And I'm going to be reading you this book called The Tale of the Three Trees. I will come a little closer here to our camera so that hopefully each of you are able to see it. This is a traditional folk tale that is retold by Angela Elwell Hunt. And the illustrations in here are by Tim Jonke. Once upon a mountaintop, three little trees stood and dreamed of what they wanted to become when they grew up. The first little tree looked up at the stars twinkling like diamonds above him. "I want to hold a treasure," he said. "I want to be covered with gold and filled with precious stones. I will be the most beautiful treasure chest in the world." The second little tree looked out at the small stream trickling by on its way to the ocean. "I want to be a strong sailing ship," he said. "I want to travel mighty waters and carry powerful kings. I will be the strongest ship in the world." The third little tree looked down into the valley below, where busy men and busy women worked in a busy town. "I don't want to leave the mountaintop at all," she said. "I want to grow so tall that when people stop to look at me, they will raise their eyes to heaven and think of God. I will be the tallest tree in the whole world." Years passed. The rains came, the sun shone, and the little trees grew tall. One day, 3 woodcutters climbed the mountain. The first woodcutter looked at the first tree and said, "This tree is beautiful. It's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the first tree fell. "Now I shall be made into a treasure chest," thought the first tree. "I shall hold wonderful treasure." The second woodsman looked at the second tree and said, "Well, this tree is strong and it's perfect for me." With a swoop of his shining axe, the second tree fell. "Now I shall sail mighty waters," thought the second tree. "I shall be a strong ship, fit for kings." The third tree felt her heart sink. When the last woodcutter looked at her, she stood straight and tall and pointed bravely to heaven. But the woodcutter never even looked up. "Any kind of tree will do for me," he muttered. With a swoop of his shining axe, the third tree fell. The first tree rejoiced when the woodcutter brought him to a carpenter's shop. But the busy carpenter was not thinking about treasure chests. Inside his work-worn hands fashioned the tree into a feed box for animals. The once beautiful tree was not covered with gold or filled with treasure. He was coated with sawdust and hay for hungry farm animals. The second tree smiled when the woodcutter took him to a shipyard. But no mighty sailing ships were being made that day. Instead, the once strong tree was hammered and sawed into a simple fishing boat. Too small and too weak to sail an ocean or even a river, he was taken to a little lake. Every day he brought loads of dead, smelly fish. The third tree was confused when the woodcutter cut her into strong beams and then just left her in the lumber yard. What happened? The once tall tree wondered. All I ever wanted to do was stay on the mountaintop and point to God. Many, many days and nights passed. The 3 trees nearly forgot their dreams. But one night, the golden starlight poured over the first tree as a young woman placed her newborn baby in the feed box. "I wish I could make a cradle for him," her husband whispered. The mother squeezed his hand and smiled as the starlight shone on the smooth and sturdy wood. "This manger is beautiful," she said. And suddenly the first tree knew that he was holding the greatest treasure in the world. One evening, a tired traveler and his friends crowded into the old fishing boat. The traveler fell asleep as the second tree quietly sailed out onto the lake. Soon, a thundering and thrashing storm arose, and the little tree shuddered. He knew he did not have the strength to carry so many passengers safely through the wind and the rain. The tired man awakened. He stood up, stretched out his hand, and said, "Peace." The storm stopped as quickly as it had begun. And suddenly the second tree knew that he was carrying the King of heaven and earth. One Friday morning, the third tree was startled when her beams were yanked from the forgotten woodpile. She flinched as she was carried through an angry, jeering crowd. She shuddered when soldiers nailed a man's hand to her. She felt ugly and harsh and cruel. But on Sunday morning, when the sun rose and the earth trembled with joy beneath her, the third tree knew that God's love had changed everything. It had made the first tree beautiful. It had made the second tree strong. And every time people thought of the third tree, they would think of God. That was better than being the tallest tree in the world. This story reminds us that sometimes we have really amazing plans for our lives. Each of us might be just like those little trees. We have our lives planned out. We have wonderful hopes. We have wonderful dreams. We have a wonderful journey in mind of what the perfect life would look like. As many of us have experienced, life does not always go as planned. Things get shaken up in our world. Things fall apart sometimes. Sometimes throughout that journey, we might feel just like those trees and feel confused. We might feel disappointed in the ways that things have unfolded. It might feel like we're worthless at some point in time. But the amazing, wonderful, wonderful thing for each of us is that over 2,000 years ago, God gave us a gift of a newborn baby who was laid in the manger, born as the Savior for each and every one of us, the King of heaven and earth, Christ, the newborn King. The one who is called Emmanuel and reminds us that God is with us. Always and everywhere, God is with us. Sometimes our life might not seem like it's going according to our plans, and that's because it doesn't. It's going according to God's plan. And when we are willing to give our life to God, when we are willing to believe with every bit of our hearts and our soul and our minds that this little baby who was born to us on Christmas Day was born to save each and every one of us, to live a life that we got a glimpse of in this story, setting an example for us, giving us examples of his amazing power and the way that God works in our lives, and then ultimately died on that cross to save each of us from our sins and was resurrected. When we believe 100% and give our lives to God, we are reborn into a new life, and that path becomes a little straighter. God does make our path straight, and in God's time, things will come to light, and we will realize that we have been given the greatest blessing of all. That blessing is that we have carried the King in our hearts. We have carried Christ in our lives, and that we have a very important job. When people look at us, they're able to see Christ. So on this Christmas day, whether you're watching it in the morning or the evening, or maybe you're watching it a couple days later, I hope that each of you will remember why this little baby was born, why God sent him into this world. And I hope that you will remember what the Messiah means for you and for me, what Emmanuel means, that God is with us. No matter what part of that crazy journey of life we are on, no matter whether you are feeling alone and grieving or whether it is the happiest time of your life, God is with you through every storm. And in God's time, everything will come together perfectly in the way that God plans and intends it. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you. Christ our Savior is born. I'd invite all of you to join me in prayer. Lord, on this Christmas day, we celebrate the amazing gift that you gave to this world. Your one and only Son. We celebrate Emmanuel. We celebrate knowing that, Lord, you are with us. God is with us in everything that we do. Today on this Christmas morning, or some of the people might be watching it in the afternoon, whenever we are joined together in this prayer, I pray for those who might be grieving or feeling lonely at this time. I pray for those who are traveling, that you will keep them safe. I give thanks for everyone who is a part of our church family and the amazing, wonderful ways that you connect each of us together. Lord, I give you thanks for family. I especially give you thanks for the joy that is felt in our lives. Lord, be with each of your children today. Remind them of what a wonderful, amazing gift Christ is. And help each of them to welcome that new baby, Christ the King, into their lives, to grow closer to you, to give their whole life, their heart, their soul, their mind to you, and to embrace the wonderful Christian journey that you have called them to be a part of. I pray all of this in your name. Amen. Again, Merry Christmas. I hope that you're all having a blessed day. Amen.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. The world, the Savior reigns. Let all their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains Repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat, repeat the sounding joy. No more let sins and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and wonders of his love, and wonders, wonders of his love. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing.